Hey, what's going on, everyone? This your boy Freeze, and welcome to the Deceptilab. And today, we got a couple different topics. This has actually been a pretty eventful week. So, of course, one of the huge topics of discussion this week has been the 5-star batch. We got the vote up right now in Discord, and uh, I usually don't do predictions and stuff, but I will speak on a couple of things, break down some of the possibilities, um, and I also want to talk about a bot that you guys probably heard me talk a lot about that I don't particularly like, but he might actually break into my war team because of my play style in a particular pairing that I really like. So we might talk about that, see if that's going to be a possibility for me. Um, I definitely want to address. I released two videos. If you hadn't been watching my series and the interview with Dale, it's very telling. The last couple of videos have been about the 5-star combiners and also the endurance bots. So definitely want to touch on that a little bit and give some opinions that I might not have actually released in that particular video or those particular videos, excuse me. And then I also want to talk about a controversy that we had this week in playtest. And, I just want to give my thoughts on that. So, all in all, should be a pretty good stream. But you know how we do around here. Before we do any of that, let's go ahead and take a look at this week's newsletter. And let me scroll up. And so this week's event is not Rust and Fire. That was last week's event. It's Terra Firma. Terra Firma Titans is the name of this week's event, and it is a new saga. Obviously, we had the individual endurance event last week, and we're in a new saga. I actually just right before the stream started, went in there and got my cyber pass and everything running. So some of the stuff you can get this week: 60 of the Sky Rain and Galvatronus combiner crystals, up to 40 premium combat chips, 200k of the combiner spark, 150k of the regular spark, and then 2.5k 4-star, 7.5k 3-star, and 30k premium crystal shards. So nice event. And it was crazy because I was actually talking to some folks earlier in the week, and they don't like these events. I actually like them because now in a game where we need character shards. Now, granted, it's gotten easier with the rank skips and with the 5-star conversions to go get your ranks. But the more character shards you can put in there, the less 5-star shards you have to spend. So I really like these events. Um, just for the purpose it's concentrated in just those combiner bots. So in this case, just 5 bots, and looking forward to it. That and it's nice and easy. I also want to take a look at the battle zones, typical battle zones, and some game updates and information. So we got new slots and squads coming, and so there's going to be 2 additional squad slots. Um, a lot of us are already going to unlock these because it's going to be 250k combined power for the 17th slot, and then 300k combined power for the 18th slot. But then there's this research lab spots, and honestly, I'm going to stop right there, right? Because I don't even want to get through the newsletter talking about that. What I want to do, and let me pull it up real quick, is I actually want to go to the store. I actually want to go to the store, and I'm actually going to go back to the lab for a second because now you know what? I don't even want to do that. I'm going to go swap over, and I want to go into the actual store so we can take a look at the value on this stuff. So give me a second to pull that up. All right, there we go. So here we got and I just got So I'm sharing my computer screen right here, and I'm looking at this new slot. So we got a 15K cybercoin slot so that we can go get this new this new resource. This will be the fourth research lab slot. And so I want to go through some of the bundles real quick because obviously you get a little bit more when you go on to the external store, right? So this is a 40K bundle, right? You get 11K cyber coins with a 550 additional bonus for buying in the store. And so for $40, you can't get the new research lab slot. All right, so let's try adding like $10 more to it. Another 2.3K plus another 115 bonus. That's still gonna put you a little bit short. So now we're talking $50 plus to go get this item. And I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't I don't like that at all. I think that's awful. I think that I'll tell you this, and I'm gonna go back to the newsletter real quick. What I think is this. I think that we've been hearing for a while that there's a lot of new players coming into the game, and I think that this is targeted more towards them because I mean, let's face it. So for me, like, and shout out to myself because I just made it to the horde, like the main horde, earlier this week, and so now I'm in a top five alliance, and I can guarantee you, and I primarily because I've been talking to a lot of guys about it, you don't need that extra slot. But think about when you were not at the top level. Think about when you weren't even at HQ 18. Uh, if you're in some of those lower levels and you want to upgrade your bots faster, then maybe that's what this is for. And we've been hearing for the better part of the year now that hey, these guys are there's lots of new players, and you're gonna want to go do that faster as a new player. Um, Possibly. I just can't see the value in it. And to keep it a band with you, I told a lot of you guys, and some of you guys actually told me like something. I heard that the players were boycotting this new this new slot, this new research lab slot. Um, Dude, honestly, that's up to you. You don't have to get that research slot. But for most of you players, if you got a lot of the top bots and you got um and if you got everything all settled out with your war team, you don't actually need this. So for me personally, I'm not going for it. Um I don't even have the third research slot. If I'm being honest with you, a lot of people just always freak out about that. I'm not upgrading bots in the research lab that often. So nah, I'm not even I'm not even doing all that, bro. Like it's honestly and I'm just shifting through my notes a little bit because I know what I think about it, but I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything because I just think the timing is off, man. And so this is what I think. So we just had, and granted, I completed the event last week, the individual endurance, so that I could go get so I could get Predacon Inferno. I did complete that. I actually maxed out my war team last week, right? But when I look at that, it's like that was my reason. You had a lot of players that didn't, I had players in my alliance that hit 0 points on last week's event because they didn't like the bot. And that's okay. That has always been your prerogative to go in there and do things like that, right? But at the same time, like, there was always the opportunity to play free to play and stuff like that. And I want to say I looked in Discord yesterday or the day before, and Space Ape was already saying that that individual endurance didn't go very well. Um, if it's something you don't like about the bot, if it's something you don't like in the game, period, you're not obligated to spend on it. Now, it is a business, and you do got to make money and stuff like that. But I'm looking at the things that happen. I'm actually gonna go back for a second. I'm actually gonna go back to that store for a second because there's another point that I wanted to make. And the other point was this. So I'm looking at a I'm looking at a bot that didn't generate the money they wanted to, and then I'm looking at this. I'm looking at that you had the 5-star sword of balance, and you got this bundle in here for $150 US. Let's take a look at what's in it. So you get the 5-star sword of balance, which is, by the way, is going to come out in a couple of months anyway. 4-star Sentius Malice and Sentius Magnus, which honestly, most of us players that have been around for a little bit, you have those bots. If you don't, you know, probably a newer player, then you can get 250 of the Sentius Twin Crystals. You know, how many, how many, how many commas is that? 250k spark, 250k combiner spark. Combiner spark is nice, but not $150 nice. And then 5 of the 100k troop XP. That's worth $150 to you. I mean, let me know in the chat if that's worth $150 to you, because it's not worth $150 to me. I mean, I spend less than that. I spent less than that to go get the new bot. I spent less than that to go get Knockout, which is skids for you guys on the Autobot side. I spent less money than that to go get Junk Heap, which is Wreck Guard for you guys on the Autobot side. So I'm just saying, I'm really just saying, I think it's a little bit of a reach. I know there's been some theories out there on Discord that the price will probably come down. Honestly, I'm not that concerned. This is what I always tell folks, that if you don't necessarily care about the content, if you don't care about that content, don't buy it. And it's not for me trying to lead the charge on anything. It's not trying to me lead the charge on a boycott or anything like that. Like, I usually don't even get into all that for real. Like, I don't. But spend on the things that you want to spend on. Point blank in the discussion. So I'm gonna leave it at that. But I think 15k at that price point, you talking about over $50 for a squad slot. Bro, I don't even use third squad spot. I didn't even want to spend the Z Energon, and that was free. But like, when you go look at a squad slot or a research lab slot, excuse me, and I still got to go out there and do all the work. I still got to use the XP to go build the bot up, and I done spent $60 almost on it. Nah, G, I'm not even with that. I ain't even with that. Well, I gotta spend $150 to go get the sword of balance. G, I ain't even with that. I'm just gonna be honest with you, and I don't know if they're trying to recoup the losses from the event that didn't go as well as they thought. All I know is this: that's not my problem. I'm not participating in it. It's not, and I'm not actively boycotting it. If you need it, go for it. But I won't be putting my money in that. I'm actually cutting down on my spending, not just for the game, but I'm cutting down on my spending in real life also. And I don't need that. I can guarantee you that. So let me know in the chat what you think. I already see the chat is blowing up. I'm gonna address that in a minute. But let me know what you think about that 5-star, that 5-star sort of balance, and let me know what you think about that research lab slot in the chat. I'm gonna keep talking about this newsletter though, man, because these folks out here, they tweaking. I I've been talking about it. Everybody been tagging me, messaging me about it since yesterday, bro. I ain't even worried about it, G. Like, I ain't even doing all that, man. Like, anyway, the 5-star vote, right? It's in Discord. The link's in the newsletter. Um, Deceptidog going crazy because the pizza man coming up here. It's whatever. But the 5-star vote is in there. We're gonna talk about that in detail a little bit later on. But make sure each of you go out there and vote. It's really important. I mean, it's your game, and if you want to vote for a bot, go vote for the bot that you like. And then we get the new Cyber Pass skin. So this time it is going to be G2 Streetwise and G2 Breaknet. Y'all know I always go look at those those cores. Streetwise look a little bit better this time. I'm with that. I always like the Autobot skins, man. Like honestly, if I was gonna go and do some, I'm not gonna do that. I'm a Decepticon through and through. I got the hat on and all that. But if I get a chance to be an Autobot for whatever reason, it'll be because of the skins. Uh, yeah, Robert C. Force said he thought it was worse. Nah, I feel you. I mean, y'all know how I do. I typically, it's very rare that I actually like the con skin better, but it is what it is. Speaking of which, since Robert C4 and they're content creators, so you got the official ones, myself, Engineer Horst, Soul, and who's in the chat by the way. So everybody say what's up to Soul, and then Sunstreak Kawaza who was on earlier today. And then you got some of your unofficial ones I already mentioned. The Robert C4 is one. He actually just dropped a new video which I need to watch. I didn't get around to watching this video yet. Um, but yeah, he's always making good content, so I know it's gonna be fire. I'll probably watch it after I get off a stream. And then we got the saga schedule, so it's a new saga. And so let's take a look at this real quick because we got this combiner event. Then we got a 10K next week. We got a 500K Prime Core Shard event, which, it's cool if you're just hoarding or if you still need Prime Cores because you're a lower level. Um, I think it's about time, man, for us to release HQ18 Phase 3. It's been over a year, and so I'll have at least one Prime Core ready. And after this event, depending on how they do it, I might be coming up close to two. It won't be two, but it'll be close. And then we're gonna have the individual totalizer. So we still gotta go see what's gonna be the new combat or weapon. Haven't seen anything in test yet. But the next 3 weeks after that concern me a little bit because we don't know what's gonna happen. Are they gonna stick in some new content and make a large event for it? I don't know. But what I do know is this. It's very concerning for me anytime I just see those large gaps in there because it makes me think there's something brewing up behind the scenes. And to be honest with you, as a matter of fact, I just I gotta. So I'm on part 4 out of 6 in my interview with Dale, and one of the things that we talked about in our interview, for those of you who aren't members yet, um, you've been watching me kind of drip feed all of the Dale interview videos. Um, to be honest with you, if you're not a member, if you're a member, you saw the whole thing. I got the whole thing laid out, um, unedited version, so you've probably been able to see the whole thing already. If not, then I'm gonna release that video probably either this weekend or early next week, talking about events. So me and Dale talked about that for a little bit the other day. So be on the lookout for that. Let's see. But this event schedule does concern me. So that's why I say, if you notice, I've been putting a lot of things. I've been putting a lot of videos up there at, it's in regards to the Dale interview series as things happen. So like the 5-star vote came out there. If you hadn't seen that video, I just released that yesterday, I believe it was. Just saying, hey man, you guys want to check this out before you go vote. Um, the endurance spot, I released that for the endurance week, so on and so forth. I'm just saying some of the stuff we actually talked about, and I want you to see the Space 8 point of view on those things. Community corner is always nice. Nice. Well, this time it's no artwork, but it is some nice figures, some action figures up there. Then apparently air raid and slipstream still ain't working for some folks. My slipstream's been working fine, but there's been some reports, and it's really vague in the bug fixes. But the problem people have been having is that they're still not exploding after the defense is destroyed. So they're looking into it, and then if they don't fix it, ask them about it on the team stream next week, which is gonna be on the 18th, next Thursday, and that's all we got for the news. I say apologies to Robert C4. He said he rebranded Jettison C4. I mean, he tagged me too, so it's like all nice and bright and red for me to go look at. All right, let's go take a look in the chat and see who we got in here. I see that my moderator, good friend, and fellow content creator, the Mercenary Terror, was in here first. Thanks for joining, buddy. And he says vote for. He said vote for. Uh, is in the game is Iron Bison. He said kill Bison. We'll talk about the voting in a little bit. I got my Alliance family mate Candyman in here. This is I just want Skywarp. I mean that would be a good pull. That's a really good bot. The underrated bot even. He said otherwise Cyclonus all the way. We got E Rods in here. Thanks for joining E Rods as well as Lou Megas joining us again. We got S Cloasi who actually just joined as a member. Thanks for that, S Cloasi. And I always members and stuff, man. Shout out to y'all, man. Like I'm actually about to start pulling in my first YouTube check. Probably should see it next month. I just got all my stuff set up for it. So, and it's really because of you. Now, I will say this. You guys go out there, and if you got some friends in there who don't, they like the YouTube Transformers, Earth War stuff, man, tell them to subscribe, man. Because that's really how us content creators, for all the work that we put in, get paid. But, yeah, because they, all those ads that people gotta wait through anyway, unless you get premium. That's where we make most of our money. So man, tell some folks to subscribe, man. I need about 247 more subscribers before I start getting paid for ads. Let's see. Candyman also, I didn't mention that earlier. Candyman also just signed up as a member. Thanks for that, Candyman. I mean, you here every week, anyway. Why not, right? So now you'll get all the exclusives when I come in there and stuff like that. When I go and make some exclusives, we got Jay Funk in there, another one of my Alliance family mates and good friends. Thanks for joining. Another good friend, Chris Harmon, my moderator and one of my earliest members. Thanks for joining us today. Let's see. Who else do we get? And y'all were talkative today. LJ Gav, another good friend. Thanks for joining. Big Joe, another good friend of mine. Thank you for joining us. I already mentioned that Soldier is in the chat. Fellow content creator, good friend. One of the guys that paved the way for me, too. So thanks for joining. And for some reason, okay, for some reason my chat actually scrolled down to the bottom. Let's see. Where did you go? Has joined us again. Thanks for joining us. Uh, Big Joe. I don't know if I. Yeah, Big Joe's in here. Thanks for joining us, Big Joe. Michael Cooper is with us again. Thanks for joining, as well as Blade 19. And yeah, now I have to agree with you. Blade 19 is talking about that. He's talking about that. Research lab slot says cash grab, plain and simple. Yeah, absolutely. Another friend and fellow content creator, Grim Studios. Thanks for joining. I still gotta add that space on the Discord for you too, bro, because I know we wanted to talk about raid teams. Just had a busy couple of days, so yeah, I definitely put that in there for you, bro. Chris Harmon's talking about the research lab slots. He says that I disagree. I'm a pretty big player, and I need four research lab slots because I have about 115 bots needing updates. Now, my thing about this is, Chris. My thing about that is this, Chris. If you depends on what it is you're trying to do. So for players at our level, right? You've already got your war team set more than likely. You've already got your raid team set more than likely. So when I go look at certain things, you probably got your event team set more than likely. Even with the two extra slots, you've probably got all this stuff set. So when I look around and I'm looking at this stuff, I say to myself, why do I need this stuff? Why do I need to have four bots run at the same time? I don't even have my second slot, like I said earlier. So for me, and it might be one of those things. I think it's just a play on there's certain people that's like, I'm afraid that I'm gonna miss out if I don't have this stuff. I got I think I got two 5 stars that I need to carry to level 61, and I hadn't done it because I don't want to spend the Z energy on. I can, I don't want to, and it is what it is. But to each his own, though. I'm not trying to put anybody down. That's just my opinion on it. Um, yeah, I'm not trying to tear anybody down over it. All right, let's see. Kristen Jones is in the chat again, and she says, "I'll wait for the weapons batch if I want my 5 star Sentius." Hey man, listen, I get it. I get it. I totally would wait. Let's see. Candyman voted for Skywarp. Skywarp is really, really good. Soldier says, so if they drop Whirl, we will have our first combiner who has all the 5 star bots in the game with Ruin Nation. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We got Jason Gunn, one of my Alliance family mates in there. So thanks for joining. Also says that he wants a 5 star Soundwave Hiss. Michael Cooper reminds y'all to hit the like button. I got my good friend and playtest buddy Jacada in here as well. And then I skipped him apparently. He says I'm not getting a shout out this week. LOL. Nah, man, you always gonna get a shout. You always gonna get a shout out, man. You the bro. So, and if I with that said, if I missed anybody, let me know in the chat. I said I'll give you the shout out, man. No problem. I said I love I love that we got such a a loving community. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, definitely. I'm gonna For whatever reason, I just closed the chat by accident, so let me open that back up on my side, not on you guys' side. And I want to go over to blow up the battlefield screen so that I can take a look at this new combo that I'm looking at for my war teams. All right, so what I'm looking at now, go use Sane 4523 for as an example. So if you guys been listening for a little bit, I've been looking for something to go put in the gunner spot. And the thing is, I actually was using drag strip until everybody used all their resources in the front. So what I actually did, and I didn't think I was ever going to use this spot, but I actually started leveling Octo Punch after I had maxed out all my war team bots the other day. And one of the things that I was looking at was this Cosmic Rust Blaster, which for a lot of top players has already been labeled as garbage. But then when I looked at what it does again, and I said, well, it's going to hit multiple targets. Um, when the 5 star does come out, 40% more damage. And then you got acid, fire, and electricity. So any of those elements is going to cause that 40%. You're going to have slowed down by 30% for 10 seconds. You're going to increase damage by 32%. And my thing is, there are a lot of people that just want to continue to go use Fracas and Nightstick. That's cool. I'm using the 5 star and the 4 star. But once I start getting down into the 3 star, the 2 star stuff like that, then I'm like, it just depends on, as I always say, on squad composition. So I actually want to take a look at this and see how this combat, or this weapon, I should say, is going to work on Octo Punch, who is C Spray for you guys on the Autobot side. King Grimlock says, "Come at me." Yeah, I'll probably run yours on the next test. Right now, I'm just kind of looking. And so I want to look at the pros and cons of this pairing. No pun intended when I say cons. So he's running that, and I actually ran into an MSM. And when I go use this Cosmic Rust, now the AoE, the concept seemed amazing to me at first. When I say that AoE, honestly, that's pretty small of an area. but you're getting that additional damage. But it's not anything for him that's gonna put him over the top. So I do like the fact that I was looking at him at a lower cost than some of the bots. You know, when I was looking at him and I compared him to Drag Strip, who I do like to use, but I can't really use right now while all the resource building's being pushed to the front. But he's at 6+2, and I said I've actually had Octo Punch for a while. So when I'm looking at Drag Strip and Hound, I say okay, I can save a little bit here, going on a 4+3 with Octo Punch, and try to see what I can do. So I'm gonna take King Grimlock's advice, and I'm actually going to go to his base, and I'm gonna try this in the squad. So my thought process was this: is that we're all using acid, whether it be through our main bots or whether it be through our combats like Nightstick and Fracas. So I said, why not? Why not just go in there and try to get as many combos as I can? Obviously, this is a support piece because it will be probably massively overpowered if you used all of these together with the Cosmic Rust. But I like any chance to get an advantage that I can. And so with that, and that's a little bit out of reach for old Acid Storm, but it does work faster even when I'm trying to use it in conjunction with even when I'm trying to use it in conjunction with my when I'm trying to use it in conjunction with the Cosmic Rust Blaster. And in this particular case, I don't got a healer, so I need to think about that. Now I'm starting to realize halfway through the battle, the King Grimlock lied to me. His base actually pretty decent. But then, like, if I get into a jam like this, like I'm already losing a bunch of health and stuff like that. One of the things that I'm able to do is go in there, as long as it's not any of the anti-stun um, build bots in there, then I can actually go in and get. I can actually go in and just kind of use Octo Punch, and I'm not a spammer. I don't like to spam abilities like that, but I definitely try to I try to take advantage of little small things that I can. So I'm gonna try to use that Cosmic Rust again and see what happens. And because I use KO, might be able to make a little bit of an advantage out of this. Now it's taking me a little bit longer than I probably should have on this one, so I'll probably actually end up losing that particular battle. But I just kind of just wanted to show that off. That's what I'm thinking about. Let me know in the chat what you think. Is that particular Cosmic Rust Blaster trash, in your opinion? But all right, so I was looking at that, and I also wanted to look at. So there is a character in this game that we were talking about in playtest this week, and we had some disagreements over whether or not this character was overpowered or not. And you know, it's always something weird when I say character because if I'm saying that it's not a bot, it's actually a combiner, and that character is Ruination and God Neptune. So let's go and take a look at some of the stats. And I find myself talking about this dude at least once a week. Um, And if you saw my series with Dale and you saw one of my latest versions, we were talking about the 5-star combiners. That's actually, and I put the thumbnail up there saying, "Hey, check this out before you go make your vote." And even though I didn't really have anything to do with this, a lot of people were already voting for Sea Phantom. As you can clearly see, is the only 4-star left in the group, and Whirl. So a lot of people are trying to vote for 5-star combiner parts. I probably worsened that by releasing the video when I did, and honestly, I'm unapologetic about it because, um, to be honest with you, I don't think they're really gonna release this 5-star. That's just my personal opinion. They didn't say anything, but I don't think that they will. But anyway, what I was talking about, what came up in playtest is this bot overpowered? So I want to look at his abilities again. Now I love this 3-star ability. That God Sting, when they added that, they added something that gave him a shield, kept him from dying too quickly. And I love these 3-star abilities more than anything else. Sometimes I don't even use the 4-star ability because Tidal Wave takes out a lot of stuff. God Sting keeps him protected. God Splitter is really good and does good damage. But in all honesty, it doesn't, you know, I'd rather just keep using some of these abilities over and over and over again. And so I actually, the reason why I completed the Combiner event, I mean, excuse me, the reason why I completed the endurance event this weekend was because I just used God Neptune pretty much on every battle. So I'm gonna take a look at him and let me know in the chat if you think he's overpowered or not. All right, so I see Big Joe said he swapped Lance to Headstrong with Megatronus. We were talking about that last week, so I'm glad. And honestly, this week I saw a lot of people that were actually doing that because you don't have to use that leech core anymore if you don't want to. You know, you can go get some more damage at the same time and by using Megatronus and Lancelon, which is Buzz Strike for you guys on the Autobot side. So I dropped my team. I'm gonna put God Neptune out here, Ruin Nation for you guys on the Autobot side. And I'm gonna drop a couple of tidal wave shots. So this is gonna be the second time I use an ability. I'm actually gonna drop them back down to the bottom of the screen. So that's my third time using an ability. I'm gonna go drop tidal wave again. So that's 4. We're at 5. Coming up on 6. And I think that if they change the cooldown in this, and I'm not saying that I want them nerfed, but I was like, and the thing is, we started talking about this and well after the testing period. So I did it kind of slow. I ran about 7 different abilities up there, and you can see what the base looks like. So the question we started having is this combiner overpowered? Now, my counter to that is this: why are we waiting so long? Why are we waiting so long to release a new batch? I think that if we release, I mean, not the new batch, excuse me, why are we waiting so long to release HQ18 Phase 3? If we did, is this going to be a good banner for HQ18 Phase 3? We got to have something that's good. You always got to have something, and then something that goes in there and makes it a little bit easier. And right now, I think for a lot of players, it was too hard. Now, in Prime League, you know, it's balanced pretty well, I think, overall for God Neptune and Ruination. Problem is you got all these other leagues where you could just solo with him if everybody's not a HQ18. So let me know in the chat, what do you think about Ruination and God Neptune? Let me know. and I'm going to check in the chat to see what's going on. And so I see people talking about some endurance bots saying who's versatile. Grim says Tarn is actually underrated in his opinion. Uh, Jettison C4 says the Nerf gun is mid. Talking about the Cosmic Rust Blaster, I'm assuming. And also said that he might take it off and run amok. Yeah, Candyman's talking about that Cosmic Rust Blaster. He said, I'm not paying $150 for that. I can tell you that. Yeah, and no, we had a lot of conversations about the sort of balance, and I know you were looking forward to it. And then that $150 price tag came up, and you just like, nah, man, I ain't even in it. J Funk says Cosmic is doo doo. Let's see. Whoa, Mercenary Terror, Mercenary Terror making a big statement says, nah, now I like anybody except T2 and Cyclonus, so Tarn might be decent. I just don't have a high level one. King Grimlock, who by the way is one of my buddies from playtest, says I keep wanting to use the Cosmic Blaster, but you need all bots to have element damage because the timing feels random when it goes active, and which that's 100% true for me. And I was started thinking about it because I have like a typically I have like a slower play style, but even then, I'm not 100% sold yet. Like I was when it first came out, and then I was like, man, this is taking me a long time before I can actually activate this. But if you look at it as like you're taking advantage of a lot of normal damage, and you're looking at it like, hey man, I've got acid in here with the nightstick and fracas, it could be okay. I'm just not one that's all for using a 2-star version of anything. Um, on wars, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like I'm probably going to use my 3-star fracas. I'm, and I'm definitely going to use my 5 and 4-star on regardless of any build that I got. So we'll see. I'm gonna play around with it a little bit more. Yeah, Big Joe says God Neptune while Max is a bad mofo. Michael Cooper says Scylla not gonna be in the batch. Scylla and Ariel, I'm adding Ariel because Michael Cooper's a con, but he says he won't be in the batch for another 3 months after the next one. I think they gotta put it in there. I was looking at it a little bit earlier. I think that was after full tilt, wasn't it? That was the endurance spot after full tilt. So I think they gotta put Scylla in there. LJ Gaff says God Neptune's amazing. Let's see. So I got a comment says I'm wasting a big benefit if I'm not using the full star ruination ability. Use it first if I have to. And yeah, and I don't get me wrong, I do use it. I just don't use it as often. But I'm going to but it is a really really good ability. So Jacada, who is also one of our playtesters, says no, he's not overpowered. He's in a position that works really well in the upper war leagues, and that's what I'm saying. And the biggest thing to me is, yes, you have the upper war league, so maybe that brings us to another question. Maybe in some of the other leagues, we need to adjust how much offensive combiners do damage wise, because I don't want to nerf the bot. I'm gonna say that right now. Anybody that's listening, I don't want to nerf the bot, but what I also don't want to do is to have him just dominating anything that's not prime league hard mode, top 5 play, anything like that. So definitely not calling for a nerf, but maybe it's something we got to do to adjust how much damage these guys do on other levels. Yeah, J Funk says he needs finesse and prime or he dies quickly. Action Will, another one of my good friends and buddies from my Alliance family, says I only use God Neptune for the entire Inferno event, and I love him. Favorite combiner in general. My bias for Seacons is pretty big, but he'll get nerfed with 5 star and anger everyone for who got all the bots. I don't think he's actually going to get nerfed. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I think he is good content. The playtest has took a lot of time. We took a lot of time to try to get him where he needed to be. Um, but it's just the fact that you can't go take any of your other combiners and just run them that their abilities that many times, and I think that's what a lot of the concern came from. And honestly, I'm not gonna use any names, name drop anybody, anything like that, but it's a lot of people were attacking the guys that said he was overpowered. But at some point you gotta think, if you've got lower level players and stuff in your alliance family or anything, and you start to see some of the replays and stuff, they kind of got a point. He's not overpowered, but I think we need some balancing for what he can do at some of these other levels, and some of the other combiners can do at some of the lower levels. LJ Gav actually likes Cosmic Rust and puts it on, likes it on Knockout. Jacada says FFDs, MDSs, miniguns fuck Ruination up, so you have to pay attention when using him, or he suffers. So he's not that overpowered, and that is a good fact. And you have to use more than one ability to go take out those MDSs and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. Mercenary Terry said it ain't a big statement. That's a personal opinion. Nah, I mean I'm not judging you for your opinion at all, buddy. I'm just I just saying, it's not a common opinion to have, that's all. Alright. We got ROFL Bozo 11 says, do I feel Prime League hard mode is too easy? Um for me, I'm just like I'm just getting up there to that top 5 level. So when I'm trying to play other top 5 opponents, um, I drop every now and again. So for me, no, it's not too easy. But overall, for the game, is it too easy? It's probably time to move on. It's probably time to move on and make it a little bit harder and get that phase 3 out there. So overall, it's too easy. Um, do I score well most of the time now? Yeah, absolutely. Um, but I don't know what the holdup is gonna be, to be honest with you. Let's see. I see Stephen Shit has joined us saying they released 6 endurance bots in 2023. Yeah, and we talked about that on my last video. So, well, not my last video, the one before that with Dale. It's a lot of endurance bots up there. They gotta get that down. As a matter of fact, while we in here, why don't we go ahead and flip over to the next 5? Since we talking about endurance bots, which are obviously 5 stars, let's go talk about. Oops. Let's go talk about the 5 star bots. And I'm gonna switch over to the chat, and I'm actually trying to get my Discord page up here, so bear with me for a second, or for a couple of seconds at least, so we can talk about that. All right, so I want to blow this up a little bit. We're gonna go look at the Discord, and we want to go take a look at this 5 star vote. Now, clearly, and as you probably could tell from my thumbnail, the winners we get right now are Whirl and Sea Phantom. They got 19% with 347 votes. And behind that, you have, what's that? It is Inferno and Rodimus Unicronus, which honestly kind of trips me out because at one point in time, um, Yeah, people were going for Rod U and Inferno for a bit, and then things kind of just changed. People kind of just said, "Nah, that's about two. That was about 2 votes ago." Now, for me, I kind of just want to see people just vote for the bots that they want. Um, I know obviously with me having came out with the video and Dale making a comment that Giannis said that we're not voting for the 5-star combiner pieces. But I want to run through some stuff real quick because I actually went through each one of the combiner pieces individually, and there's some major problems that I want to talk about. So, Action Will says third vote in a row that Unicronus comes in second. So okay, yeah, he'll be third. Jettison C4 says live Discord footage, laughing my ass off. Nah, man, it's crazy because, and I was having this conversation earlier, but it seems like the Discord vote is never really 100% perfect, is it? It just never comes out perfect. Um, so let's see. And yeah, really, that's all the votes primarily. I mean, you get a few votes in there for Cybertron Jetfire and Cybertron Starscream, or well, they got that wrong. They got Stray Scream up there. You get a couple of votes for other bots. And really, what I started to see in the chats, and that's how I can always tell when something is going on in the game, because when I looked in the game and in the line chats and in Discord chats, I started seeing people talk about 5-star votes, and a lot of people was like, "Who should I vote for?" You gotta vote for the bots that you want, man. Now, obviously, we went on the 5-star combiner piece. I just can't see World and see Phantom going in there. And then there's a couple other pieces that I can't see. So I'm gonna go down the list of bots, and I'm actually gonna go uh, back to the battlefield for a bit so that we can take a look at that. So one of the things that I was looking at is each of the bots individually and which combiner pieces. And one of the problems that we have is that some of these combiners, their their counterparts are different from the Autobot side to the Decepticon side, right? So, and I actually had a conversation with somebody, and we've been having this conversation for a while. But one of the few sets of bots that is legitimately going to be balanced for both sides is when you look at Volcanicus and Predaking, right? So I'm actually going to go into. I think I need to go into collections. That's not right. That's rank. All right. So when you look at the Predacons and you go look at and that they put Predacon Inferno in there. He's not that type of Predacon. So you've only got 4: Dive Bomb, Headstrong, Tantrum, and Razor Claw. So for you guys on the Autobot side, that would be Windblade, Pipes, Hotspot, and then Grimlock. And so that leaves you in that weird space where you are still gonna need you're still gonna need a bot. And so you've got on the con side. Shoot, who's missing here? It always throws me off when they put a bot there that doesn't belong there. But I think this is the one that we should be going for. I think that will I think it would make more sense. But at the same time, in one of the videos I in the interview I had with Dale, he was talking about the fact that they could be combiners in the legacy batches lately. But so, and I had a brain fart for a second, but Rampage and Slug are both available, so they could be. But then we went for Whirl and Sea Phantom, and there's actually another problem that I have with that because I'm looking at the bots for God Neptune, and we have So I'm gonna go through the concept ones first. So we're gonna have um, and some of them are already up here. So we're gonna have Half Shell. He's gonna be one of our bots. We're gonna have Scylla, who's one of our con bots. You're gonna have Terramander, who's one of our bots, and then you're also gonna have. Did I skip past Quellagon, or is he already down? And then, but yeah, you got Quellagon. So for those, so the only one you're missing is Sea Phantom. But if you got talking about Ruination, you got Impactor, Roadbuster, Twin Twist, and Top Spin, and the only one you're missing is Whirl. So already that's a problem for me because when you go look at the fact that you don't have Scylla, Scylla's an endurance bot. So first off, I think they are going to release Scylla into batches with this upcoming batch. But then you're gonna have to. So now you're gonna put us in a position where cons have to go and get two bots out of that batch potentially in order to get this 5-star combiner, which I don't think that's gonna be the case. All right, so I got a request. Say look at the Dinobot side. So it's just one of those things that I start thinking about, and I say it doesn't line up properly. And then on the Dinobot side, same thing. They got Slash in there, who for the combiner piece is not part of the combiner piece, but it technically is a Dinobot. Yeah, it's a Big Joe saying the same thing. I don't have 5-star Scylla yet. King Grimlock says, "Oh, the con unfair play." Now, dude, honestly with you, to be honest with you, I always want all of them to be the same. I say that, and I honestly say that on the behalf of Autobots a lot because there's a lot of bots out there on you guys' side as Autobots who have fire abilities, but when the con version has acid. And I always want those things to be consistent because I don't want anything to be unfair from a tactical standpoint. So then I started looking around further, and I'm gonna actually go through some of these teams. Let's look at the Combaticons. So we can go to 5 stars. So you've got 4 of the Combaticons in there. So for Bruticus, the only one you're missing is Vortex. Um, and this actually brings up an interesting point. What if they put Vortex into a legacy badge? And they rework them in the legacy batch. I would actually like to see more bots reworked in the legacy batch. I hate doing massive reworks during the 5-star batch. I don't think that's what it's for. I think it makes it take longer. And I think that it's not because I'm in a rush, but if you're spending a month and a half arguing over the bots in the batch, right? Then that's taking away time that you could be using to get off of that project and produce more batches, which obviously we need because we've got all of these endurance bots in the backlog. We've got 5 stars in the backlog. Now, now, problem I also see with this is like when you look at the Combaticons and Vortex being the missing bot, Dust Up is part of a combiner also. But Dust Up is part of the Rust Renegades, which is part of Victorion, and you can see how that looks. So there's a lot of imbalances with who we have in the game as opposed to who we have for each faction, I should say. So when I was looking at, I was just like, but the the missing bot for Optimus Maximus is Mirage, and so Mirage, his counterpart is Breakdown, and who's part of Minosaur, and so it's a complete mess. If we're actually gonna, and that makes me wonder: are we gonna have Space Ape have to jump in if we go put certain bots um, into a 5-star batch that completes it from one faction and not the other? Are they going to have to complete that 5-star for the opposite faction by putting them into the batch? I'm not sure. Yeah, and LJ Gav is actually making that point in the chat right now, saying you had to do Mirage, Breakdown, and Vortex, Dust Up for Bruticus and Optimus Maximus, and that's a great point, man. Like they're just not balanced, and I just wish that when we made bots and put them in the game, we kept that in mind to keep everything balanced. Mercenary Terry says, Lord, they messing up. Action Will says, TFEW this last month has just been head spinning with all these problems. And I think it's gonna get back. I think the year overall is gonna wind up being a good year. I think that we just gotta lock in and deal with a couple of problems. Some of these problems are old problems. Let's see. King Grimlock says Space Ape needs to go back to batches anyway. Top tier getting bored. Yeah, I mean that's cool. And the thing is I will say this: at our level, if you have everything that you need, and a lot of times a lot of us rushed to the things that we need, and so now you kind of get bored. But the patterns are always the same. There's certain stuff that I won't go for or push really really hard because I know I got time, and it's okay. But yeah, no, definitely at our level, um, there are a lot of people that are bored and want to see new content. But if you keep pushing offensive content without pushing defense, and Waza was actually speaking on this a little bit earlier today too, and you don't push defense, then what happens? But then if you push defense too hard, what happens to the rest of the game outside of the top level? And that's a balancing point that Space Ape has to absolutely has to figure out. And Jacada makes a good point. Says Superion and Devastator, they could have taken an entire 5-star batch and released all the required bots to make a 5-star combiner for both. Yeah, and Waza made that point earlier today too. You have to, I think, and my only concern is this: if we actually get to the point where they want to make a legacy batch and they want to include combiners, oh, excuse me. Well, they've already making legacy batches. We're actually working on Huffer and Lockdown right now, somewhat. But if they ever decide they want to do combiners and legacy batches, then that's going to be a rework. I was looking at a chat that Tex was talking in earlier, and he was saying, "Hey, man, he showed us that there was a rework in 2020. There was a rework for combiners in 2022 as well. So he says about every 2 years they give combiners a little bit of a buff, and you know what? The history says that's true. So we should be on course to have another buff for combiners this year. Just try to keep them somewhat relevant, so they're not just dying on the pad. So do we want to do that and go do a 5-star in the same year? Who knows? Yeah, Grim says, I agree with you. Grim says that Predaking is probably going to be the most likely since all are released in different batches, and just go for that batch instead. Yeah, so we'll see what happens, guys. But all right, I'm gonna head back to the lab for a second. Hey, man, and thanks for joining everybody today. Obviously, we are all looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with this new batch. You know, communities made their vote. I haven't made my vote yet. I'm going to think about it over the weekend. But we'll see how it goes, man. I think it is gonna be World and Sea Phantom. Um, and I think it's gonna be some controversy when they don't release that 5 star. So, but anyway, thank you guys for joining. Hit me up again later on in the weekend. I should have a new video for you. If not, I'll have one starting the beginning of the week. It's a 4-day weekend for me, and so I got time. So, but all right, guys, I'll check you guys out next week. And next week, is it next week or the week after? I'm almost done with my streams on Thursdays. I'm going back to Wednesdays soon. I'll give you an update for that. But other than that, I'll see you guys next week and I'll see you on the battlefield. Freezy is out.